Hi, I am Nia Aker and I'm an actor and a writer. I graduated from SCAD with a BFA in Performing Arts and a minor in Creative Writing. Do you want to leave? In this video, I'm going to be going over some tips on how to find good monologues. Not all monologues are good, not all monologues serve the same purpose, and the monologues I'm talking about are specifically like audition monologues, how to find good audition monologues. So here we go. Do not use original monologues, okay? No, just don't do it. I don't care how good of a writer you think you are or you think your friend is or whoever, you should not use original monologues, okay? It just assume that the monologue is trash and don't take the chance. Going on to the next point, your monologue should be from a published playwright. This is because the monologue comes from a complete work and you will have all the information that you need about the character and the given circumstances, so you don't have to create all of these things off the top of your head, which can sometimes be a lot if you're trying to get stuff done for the audition and you're focusing on way too many details. It helps to have these are your facts and that's what you can focus on. Alright, what are you sniffing? Why are you sniffing it? Do you need to leave the room? If you pick a monologue from a movie or a TV show, do not choose those iconic monologues that everyone knows, because everyone knows them, and whenever you start saying them, the first thing that's gonna pop into people's heads is, oh, and they're gonna be thinking of the person who did it and them performing it in that scene or whatever, and you're going to be compared to that actor, and that's not what you want. You want whoever you're auditioning for to be focusing on you and on your performance. So do not choose iconic monologues. Now, like I said before, you don't want to do iconic monologues from TV and movies, but you also don't want to do iconic monologues from plays because they're iconic. You should choose monologues that you would be cast as. For example, I would not do a monologue about getting divorced from my husband and having to raise my 3 kids. I don't know, I'm clearly too young to be believable in that role, and that's just gonna take people out of the part. Or if you're older, you should not be doing a monologue that's for a high school character, something like that, even if it's fun. Ooh, no narrative monologues. And this was one that I only found out about a year ago, and I had been using narrative monologues before, and I always hated working on them. They were just so hard. No narrative monologues. Narrative monologues are monologues that are just exposition or info dumping. They exist purely to move the plot along or so that other characters in the show get information. They're not actable out of context, and whoever you're performing the monologue for isn't going to be thinking about what you're doing or your performance. They're just going to be thinking about all these facts that are being thrown at them and this story that you're being told, and all this information that they're getting. It means nothing because usually it has nothing to do with your character or what you're doing. And so instead of focusing on you, they're focusing on the plot and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And narrative monologues are also really hard to act because you're basically just regurgitating information, and it can be hard to emotionally connect to some things. Now, there are exceptions to all of the rules that I've already said and that I'm going to continue to say, that I'm going to go on. There are exceptions to all of the rules that I'm going to be going over in this video, but generally you don't want to use a narrative monologue. You should have multiple cuts of your monologue for different time frames. When you're auditioning, you're usually going to be doing 2 monologues and you have a set amount of time. You might have 2 minutes, you might have 4 minutes, you might have 1 minute to do 2 monologues. So you want to have different cuts for any time frame that you might have, and you want to have all those different cuts memorized. Depending on what you're auditioning for, you want to choose a monologue from the correct medium. So if you're auditioning for a theater, you're going to want to choose a theater monologue. Now, TV, you can choose from theater or TV, but this is more specific to theater. You don't want to do a TV or movie monologue for a theater audition. To look for good monologues, you can look at 10-minute plays or one acts because they're short enough where you can read a bunch in a short amount of time, but they're long enough where you have the given circumstances and there's a full story and you will have enough content to work with. In TV, a great place to look for monologues is the guest star roles. Those are the characters who come on for they might be on for the episode and they're a part of whatever the plot is for that one episode. So an example would be in Grey's Anatomy, whoever the patient is or the family member of the patient is of that story for that episode, they have all of these little speeches and things like that. Those would be good places to look for monologues. And then also they're usually in very high stakes, heightened emotional places, so they give good speeches and monologues that you can pull from. Also, if you do a monologue from a TV or movie, if you do a monologue from a movie or a TV show, remove any identifying characteristics. That's character names, that's places, really specific information where if someone heard that, they would immediately figure out, oh, you're doing a monologue from this show and it's this character. You want to take that stuff out. One of my monologues is from Grey's Anatomy, and it's one of Callie's speeches from one of the episodes, and I cut a bunch of stuff out. I cut out names, I cut out locations, any mention of working in a hospital, all of it's out, and when you hear it, you would never know it was from Grey's Anatomy. And into my second point, you should change the name of the title of the monologue. Meaning, instead of using the show as the name, I use the episode title instead of the show title. In all of your monologues, you should have an obstacle of some kind. It could be a headache, or you have to pee, maybe you're a little bit high and it's really hard to focus, but you need to have something that is making it difficult. If there isn't anything specific in the monologue that would give you an obstacle, and I have a list of obstacles that's on my blog, so you can check that out. The link is in the description. If you're auditioning for the same person or same group of people over and over, you should have different monologues every time you go in. You should not keep using the same pieces because they've already seen those and they're gonna get sick and tired of seeing them. Finally, you should have a variety of contrasting monologues that you can do at the drop of a hat. It's been recommended to have 8 to 10 monologues memorized and ready to go. You should have contemporary, classical, theater, TV, movie, a combination of monologues from a bunch of different places that you can do. Oh my god. I went down the wrong I just won't drink water. Contrasting can mean a lot of different things. It can be the genre of the monologue, meaning, oh, here's a drama, here's a comedy. It could also be how you play it. So I can do a very dark and gritty drama, but I can also do a light fluffy drama, which would be you would do those in 2 different ways. Or maybe you could show contrasting reactions, oh, here's an example of sad or depressed or whatever, and here's a version of excited or angry or nervous or whatever. So you have, and of course you're going to be covering different emotions in a monologue generally, but there's going to be an overall emotional tone to the monologue, so you can show this is how I can do, here's the range of different emotions that I can do. But yeah, 8 to 10 monologues is a lot. I'm still looking for monologues. I think I have 4 at the moment, but there's so many places that you can look for monologues. Also, if you're looking for monologues online, all those websites, you should definitely not choose the monologues that first pop up on the page. You should jump to like the end or something, because when you search for monologues on the monologue website, most people will only look at the first couple of pages, and then you'll have a million people who are all doing those same monologues. I've been to auditions where, like, at my school we had a casting office and they'll call us in for auditions for things. Sometimes we just had to bring in a monologue. We all use those same monologue websites, and you can hear how everyone is doing those same monologues that come up in like the first 3 pages of the search. So you definitely want to jump to the end and work your way from the back to the front. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out my blog where I post personal essays, short stories, movie and book reviews, articles and of like tips and things. I will also have blog posts with these tips on there and some links to monologue websites and other resources in it. You can also follow me and or my cats on Instagram. All the links for everything I've mentioned are in the description below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day or night or whenever it is you're watching this. Bye.